For me, writing is easy. It's the typing that's the hard bit. Whether I'm on a train or a bus or a doctor's waiting room or sitting in my backyard on a lovely sunny day, I find it easy to get creative and write dialogue for characters and create characters and situations and sending spaceships off to planets on the other side of the galaxy. Looking at the situation and thinking, oh, how can I put a joke in there? So that's the fun part, and fortunately for me, it's not too hard. It comes fairly easy. And I write a script and then I turn that into a book. And so that's when I put all the he said, she said in there. If somebody says something with indignation, then I'll try and come up with a nice joke about how indignant they were. There's some strange, twisted metaphor. It's all grist to my mill, and it all gives me opportunity to be creative. Whereas typing is just typing all that stuff that you've just created onto the computer, verbatim. It's also easy to be inspired by things. So, for example, there was a live news broadcast. This woman was doing a piece to camera, and she was talking about this terrorist who had been killed. And she was trying to say hunt and capture. And she got a little bit confused. She did indeed say the C word. So I thought that was hilarious. And I thought, well, I've got to use this. Samantha, Charlatine, or whoever it was, because they were journalists and they had done pieces to camera. One of them had this incident, and then some of her colleagues reminded her of this. So they're showing somebody else, oh, you remember that funny incident about the terrorist? We don't need to go into that. If I had been the cameraman, I'd been laughing my head off, and she'd be there going, what are you laughing at? I'm trying to do the news. So, of course, I put that in my sitcom. The cameraman tells her what he's laughing at, and she suddenly gets very self-conscious when she realises this mistake she'd made. And the next news report she has to do is on a band called Funk Me Shirtless. A whole scene which never existed before, just because somebody had said one word out of place in a live news broadcast. There's a bit from a film, I won't mention the film, but somebody makes this gesture, and then I thought that somebody else should have made the exact same gesture at the exact same time, and it would have been very telling. So I wrote this whole scene just for this bit with a hand gesture, and because of the relevance of that gesture, I then had to put the whole thing in context of what this meant in the situation. And then there was another film, Who Shall Not Be Named, and I thought, gee, this ending is very disappointing. I mean, they could so easily have had, like, nuclear missiles launching off and they were about to destroy the entire planet, and they suddenly managed to get to stop it at the last second, just as they were about to hit the Earth and destroy everything, and they saved the planet. That would have been a much more exciting ending. So I'm thinking, well, they're not going to do that, are they? They're not going to rewrite the ending at my request. And I realised that I had a film where I could put that very scenario. So I did. A nuclear missile is plummeting to Earth and it suddenly turns and shoots off. And then I thought, well, why don't I make use of that? So I thought, well, I'll have the flame from the rocket is so close that it sets fire to something. This guy's about to attack someone with an axe, and the rocket flame sets fire to it, and so they're saved from an axe attack. So then I had to come up with a reason, why is he axe attacking these people? And what relevance does this have to the story? So one idea leads to another and another, and so that's the creative process, and that's the fun bit. Just coming up with ideas and seeing something which inspires you and then changing it enough to make it your idea and not somebody else's. Or seeing it and thinking, that reminds me of such and such. If they had done it this way, it would have been so much better. My personal take on creativity is that I find writing to be quite easy. So if I set myself a little task, just come up with some ideas, I usually can. If I have to suddenly fill in a gap in a plot that doesn't quite fit, it usually doesn't take me too long because I've got bits. You know, if you're writing from scratch, if you're trying to come up with it was a dark and stormy night. Oh, what next? Anyway, back to being creative. No, actually, it's back to boring old typing.